I mean, this is contentious, and there will be lots of traditional naval officers who will be disappointed by that element of it. To me, it's much more about getting the right person for the job. I mean, the CEO of a company doesn't necessarily need to be an expert in all parts. And in fact, sometimes it's better if they're not. Maybe a slightly different view, a slightly different approach will be beneficial. And I mean, if we're talking about combat experience, he has that absolutely in spades, far more than any naval officer. So, any seagoing naval officer. So, it swings and roundabouts. I think it's a good thing. It's innovative. It sort of breaks down glass ceilings. And if he's the right man for the job, which I think he is, then who cares what colour his uniform is?
But what about that special forces background? Does that bring something different?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he has naval experts all around him. So the idea that he doesn't somehow understand ships, well, that might be true, but that doesn't matter. But he does understand combat operations. He does understand combat operations inland, which, given what's going on in Ukraine is important. So he'll bring something very different there. He clearly understands combat operations in Whitehall because he's navigated them extremely well over the last few years and has kept himself in the running for these key jobs, despite everything that's gone on around him. So he's clearly very good in that environment, which is probably more important than his day-to-day understanding of, let's say, destroyer or submarine operations.
What does it mean for the Royal Marines? Is this good news for them?
I think you have to say it's good news. I mean, in theory, he should be completely sort of agnostic, but, come on, it doesn't work like that. And the Marines need a bit of help. They have almost totally lost their ability to go from sea to shore, which is what they're for. And they're very clever at sort of reinventing themselves and finding roles. And they need all of that now. And they need him to drive the replacement amphibious ships program, which is very uncertain and yet really key. So I think it's very helpful for them. And because you have to acknowledge that in the current climate, no one is safe from the Treasury scalpel. No one. And he will be there at the front and center protecting that essential part of the Navy's fighting capability for the next 3 or 4 years, which I think is good news.
Of course, there is the BBC Panorama programme relating to his time overseeing UK Special Forces in Afghanistan. Do you think that's going to cast a shadow over his appointment?
It's unhelpful, isn't it? And particularly given what's just happened to his predecessor. Reputationally, you can't ignore this. It's easy to go, it's not a crisis, we just need to move on and deal with it. But it's not that simple. I do know that his communications team will need to manage this better than the system managed at the exit of his predecessor. That was not well handled and is still creating a fuss today because we do love a good drama in the press. And that was not well handled. So his machine, his team, if you like, will need to manage that because Panorama and then the Haddon Cave review will constantly keep this a live subject. So it will be annoying. It's up to him now to make sure it doesn't become a distraction, and I think he will.
Thanks for watching. For more from BFBS Forces News, like and subscribe to our channel.